With only hours to go in California's March 2024 primary, what is the best way to vote? Well, it's not returning it by mail, and it's certainly not going to the polling stations on election day. I'll tell you how to secure your vote the best way coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and we are in the final hours of the March 2024 presidential primary here in California. It is so important that you vote. There's a lot of important races on your ballot. And I want to address real quick a lot of questions that we get as to what is the best way to vote to make sure that your ballot actually is counted. And I'm going to tell you right now, at this late hour, I do not recommend mail-in balloting. I do at the beginning part of the election, but not now. And I'll tell you why in a moment. And I certainly do not want you to go to the polling stations on election day to vote in person. I'll tell you why in just a moment as well. But let me first set the stage. I believe that election integrity is so important. It is such a problem in California and across the country. People have given up hope. They've given up any trust or confidence in the way in which a lot of states, most importantly, California, have mismanaged their election processes. We know that voter fraud is real in California. There's no doubt about it. With outdated voter rolls, with harvesting of ballots, all mail-in elections using outdated voter rolls, and no real quality reviews on signatures, we know that voter fraud is happening. And I've addressed this in a separate podcast about the Transparency Foundation's 2022 audit of those elections that showed a significant fraud rate and an absolute inadequate approach to list maintenance and signature reviews in the state of California. So the problems are real. Do I believe that Dominion machines are changing your vote? No, I don't believe those conspiracy theories. I think we have a problem with outdated voter lists. I think we have a big problem with ballot harvesting. I think we have a big problem with inadequate signature reviews. I have a big problem with no verification of identity. And that's why my approach, I believe, is the only approach forward to restoring election integrity, which is we got to get California voter ID implemented. My initiative that I filed in August of last year, we're going to refile it in the next few months with a stronger set of provisions. But then we're going to move forward with a signature drive, and we're going to put it on the ballot and pass it, because that, I believe, is the best solution to restoring integrity to elections. But a lot of few people come to me and say, Carl, how do I know that my ballot's going to be counted? What's the best way to vote? And let me go through that here. There are three things that you're going to need to vote. Number one, obviously, you need a ballot. Now, I know that might seem like it is an obvious thing. But if you don't have a ballot yet, it's not arriving in the final couple days of the election. Okay, you obviously had your ballot, either discarded or went to the wrong spot, or maybe you're no longer registered to vote. More on that in a moment. So first, you need to find your ballot. If you don't have a ballot, there's a solution for that I'll talk about. Second, you need the voter guide at Reform California. Oh, that's right. You need to get the plain English voter guide at Reform California. If you go to electionguidecalifornia.org, it'll take you directly to this page, electionguidecalifornia.org. That's electionguidecalifornia.org. And we've got our voter guides up there, both statewide, but also we have local voter guides that cover local races in a lot of parts of the state of California. And if you don't find a local voter guide, I'm sorry, but we will be getting to your location as soon as we can. We're expanding every cycle. We add additional capacity. But this is a labor of love. It is a lot of hard work. And so that's why we prioritize some of the bigger areas and regions of the state. So you either go to the California voter guide or you go to one of the local voter guides here. And on the voter guide, it'll go through every race on your ballot. And it will talk about the ballot measures. For example, vote no on Prop 1, which is a scam. Local ballot measures. And then it goes to the candidate races. And what we do is we apply a criteria for these candidates that they have to be good on the issues. So in other words, opposed to tax increases, they have to be in favor of law enforcement. They have to want to secure the border, respect parent rights. And these are questionnaires and analysis and vetting of candidates that we we are very hard-nosed about. And in a lot of cases, we will not endorse someone. If we can't find a good candidate, we'll just simply tell you to skip that portion of the ballot. So, for example, District 78 and 79 for the assembly, we just say, you are doomed. You are doomed. You're screwed. But we do provide candidate endorsements and the ballot measure plain English description. So get your voter guide. The third thing you're going to need, so you have a ballot, you have a voter guide. The third thing that you're going to need to vote is your polling center drop box locations. This will tell you how to return your ballot. Now, I endorse mail-in ballots, particularly in the first 3 days of the election. So I wanted you to mail in your ballot the first 72 hours. Get it in, and then you can track your ballot and verify that your ballot actually was counted. I only advise mailing a ballot up until about 10 days out of the election. So this year, I said after February 23rd, please do not mail in your ballot. You're going to have to walk it to a polling drop box or a polling center. After Wednesday of this past week, I told people do not use the drop boxes anymore. And that would be about 6 or 7 days out of the election, 6 days out of the election. Why? Because all of the processes for returning your ballot are designed in my book to make sure that you can track your ballot and verify that it has been counted. And that's something that you can do through the Track My Ballot website. The reason why I say you can mail in your ballot is that people say, I don't trust the mailman. Well, if the mailman doesn't get your ballot to the county registrar of voters office, you're going to know that because you're tracking your ballot. Some people say, I don't trust those drop boxes. Someone might break into the library and clean it out in the middle of the night and my ballot gets discarded. Again, if you're tracking your ballot, you'll know. So the method by which you return your ballot to the registrar of voters office is pretty much irrelevant as long as you're returning it through that method in time for the registrar of voters office to process your ballot. And that's why you can go to the website trackmyballot.org. This is for the San Diego portion of the campaign that we're running. But if you go to trackmyballot.org, it still allows you to go to Track My Ballot. See this button right here? You can get the voter guide for San Diego. Actually, this is for the entire state of California. That's right. That link is for the entire state of California. So trackmyballot.org goes the voter guide on the one side, but take a look at the Track My Ballot website. So when you click on that, you're given immediate access into the Secretary of State's portal for tracking your ballot. And I want all of you to track your ballot. And I want you to vote way in advance of the election so that you know that your ballot's counted on election night, not lost afterwards. And that's important because if there's a problem that comes up, you can fix it, but only if it's before the election. So here you would put in your name, your first name, Carl, last name, DeMaio. Then I would put in my date of birth. Then I would put in my zip code. Then you say, I'm not a robot. And then boom, you look up your voter, your registration, your ballot, and it will tell you where your ballot is in the process. And so everyone should return their ballot by mail by February 23rd, too late, by the drop box by Wednesday, the 28th, too late, or now in these last few days of the election, you're going to have to walk your ballot in to a polling center, either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, not on Tuesday, not on election day. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But you're going to have to personally walk it back in to the polling centers to verify that it actually is counted. Sadly, because you waited to the end of the election, you're not going to be able to verify through Track My Ballot that it's actually counted 100%. You're going to have to hope that the ballot you turn in at the polling center is actually processed properly. It will be. 99.9999% of the time, it'll be perfectly fine if you walk it in. If you mail it in at this point or walk in a ballot and just drop off a ballot, a mail-in ballot, I'm not confident that you have the best shot of having that ballot counted. I want to make sure your ballot's counted before the polls close, which is why using this site and returning it way in advance is so key. What if you don't have a ballot? What if you have a ballot that you want to vote for President Trump for the Republican nomination, but somehow his name's not on the ballot? What it means is that you're no longer registered as a Republican. What if your dog eats your ballot? What if your mailman steals it from you? Okay, so anything that happens, any problem, you can go into the polling center. What if your grandson is sitting on the couch and you walk over to him and say, "Have you voted yet?" And he says, "No, Grandma, I haven't voted yet. I'm not even registered to vote." Anyone can get a ballot and anyone can register to vote all the way up to 7:59 p.m. on election night. It's a right in the state of California. That's how they've structured the laws. And so what you can do is go to a polling center near you to either drop off your ballot or fix any problems. So for example, I live in San Diego County. So if you go to sdvote.com, San Diego County Registrar of Voters Office website comes up. You can search for your county registrar of voters, just typing it in. Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters. By the way, if you have the misfortune to live in Los Angeles County, I'm so sorry, because you have a dumpster fire for a registrar of voters. Anyway, so you put in your county and registrar, there they are, registrar of voters. On our site in San Diego, it says your voting options. So you can click there. And you can vote by home, by mail. But again, I've already explained why you shouldn't be voting by mail in these last few days. You can return it to a trusted source, which is ballot drop box locations. Again, only do that up until 5 o'clock on the 29th of February. We're too late for that. Or here's the third option, find a vote center near you. So here's a list of vote centers in San Diego County. And I love the fact that they have the hours up here, and here are the locations. Hours and days that they're open and locations. So all throughout San Diego County, there's a lot of options for you to go to. So go to one of these centers because they are staffed during the hours that are listed here, and you can fix any problem with any issue. You can register to vote. You can get a replacement ballot. You can get a different ballot if you want. And if you are wanting to have that election day experience, you are able to walk into these polling centers, and it's no different than you're voting on Tuesday, March 5th. You get the full Monty, the full experience. They'll even give you one of those nice little stickers that says, "I have voted." So the reason why I don't want you to vote on election day is because if you haven't noticed, the California Democrats have greatly reduced the number of polling stations that are open on election day. They know that conservative and Republican voters like to vote in person. And they're trying to suppress the vote, in my book. I believe that's exactly what's happening here. There's no doubt about it to me. By cutting the number of locations, they want conservatives to see long lines on election day. I don't want any long lines on election day because I'm trying to turn out low propensity voters. And the best way for me to sell a low propensity voter on going to the polls on election day is for me to let them know there are no lines. So you conservative reliable voters, you're creating a problem for all of us trying to turn out these low propensity voters. The only time I want to see you in a polling station on election day is when you're dragging one of your neighbors, your family members or friends who are a low propensity voter, you're dragging them in and encouraging them to vote. The other thing I want to point out is that when you go to these polling centers, bring your ballot with you. Your mail-in ballot, because everyone should have a mail-in ballot, unless you're having a problem, in which case you will show up and just say, "Hey, I'm having a problem. I need a ballot." But you bring in your mail-in ballot, and they'll say, "Oh, that's okay. Just fill out your outside envelope, put your ballot in, and put it in this box." If you do that, it's treated like a mail-in ballot, and that's not good. I would suggest that you take your ballot and say that I want to vote today, not mail-in. I don't want to put it in the mail-in box. I want to actually go to a little table over there, fill it out, and have you count it as a day of vote. That is my best recommendation to you to make sure that your ballot is actually processed and counted. They may say, "Well, why don't you use the computer screen?" It's easier for them because it processes things automatically. I don't like computer screens. I like the good old-fashioned pen and paper. But again, the computer screens I don't think are a big risk, but I do suggest voting by a paper ballot. That is a whole rundown of how to secure your vote this election. and also how to encourage other people to show up and vote, even if they say that they're not registered or they don't have a ballot. That's not an excuse. We can fix that problem, get them into one of these polling vote center locations to resolve that issue. And again, please do share that voter guide at electionguidecalifornia.org, electionguidecalifornia.org. We have only a few days. We're down to the final hours in the March 2024 California primary. Let's make it count. Elections are won by those that show up. We need everyone to turn out in this important election. Secure your vote, turn out, and let's take back our state from insanity of these politicians. Now, in these last few hours, we're also going to be running a campaign at Reform California to turn out the vote. We have college students going door to door. We've got text messages going out, all sorts of ads on social media to try to encourage people to vote and to use the voter guide that we've offered. If you want to chip into that effort, please contribute at reformcalifornia.org. That's reformcalifornia.org. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.